Welcome to the Eric Peoples Leadership Podcast, where I help leaders discover what's possible. Hey, well, it's great to be here with my friend Marques Ogden, and I am so excited to have my friends listening on this leadership podcast. And for you folks that are driving, flying, wherever you are, it's great to have an opportunity to spend time together. And today I have the joy of being with my friend Marques Ogden, who spoke last night at my CEO dinner. If you're interested in trying to figure out how to get there, get connected, you can find that on my website, ericpeoplesenterprises.com. But one of the things that, Marques, you spoke about, which is just the vibe and flow of my heart, but I believe 2025, is authenticity. Now, before you talk, I got to tell you who this dude is, because he has done a lot, but it is so compelling. So I'm gonna read the bio. You won't get bored because it's probably more exciting than most of you have, but I'm gonna say this, okay? And I love you. Listen, people, I love you. But Marques Ogden, he's a former NFL offensive lineman, turns a successful entrepreneur, keynote speaker, which you crushed it last night, was so good. After playing 5 seasons in the NFL, he experienced both the highs of building a multi-million-dollar construction company and the lows of losing it all. But today, he's a 3-time best-selling author and host of Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. I had the pleasure of being on that podcast. You got to take a listen. It's fire. Sharing his powerful story of resilience, transformation to help others achieve authentic success. And Marques, I put in one of those books I handed out yesterday, is authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about choices to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. Man, it's so good to have you here. Talk to us about authenticity. Just how did that definition sit with you today?
So, Dr. Eric Peoples, I'm so glad to be here. And, you know, what I really love is your definition is so much aligned with my definition, which authenticity is knowing who you are in the moment and being okay with who you are in the moment, knowing the moment's going to change. Wow. We grow and we are maturing every single day. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, a year ago, when I was married. You know, I'm not the same when I was a football player. Now, some things I still have from being an athlete: discipline, grit, determination, waking up early, going to the gym, all those things. But I'm not the same person that I was. I'm not focused now on trying to go out there and be the best I can on the field. I'm not focused on having a fantastic guy, you know, in the locker room, like relationships like I was, you know. And so what I try to tell people is it's being who you are in the moment, knowing it's going to change, but also, right, Eric, knowing that you are enough. Being confident to know when you step into your authentic self, other people may not like that. You know what? You sometimes have to lose people along your journey.
Wow. Being yourself. How about that? I'll tell you what, some of you need to just push rewind right now for a minute and just hear that. That was such a powerful statement. And, you know, just being aware of, the world in which you came from and that pivot that you've made in continuing in the journey of authenticity. I have a question for you. And, you know, it's understanding that professional sports is such a high pressure environment, and building authentic relationships, it's got to be challenging because people are after your job. But how did you translate the skills you developed on the field to fostering genuine connections in the business world?
That's a great question, Eric. What I learned is in sports, you have to build trust, competency, reliability, having people's best interests. And I remember I worked for the Buffalo Bills as a consultant doing speaking. I remember it was 2018, Josh Allen and Tremaine Edmonds and Deion Dawkins and all those guys were drafted by the Bills. And the Josh was really going to be an important part of the Bills culture. I remember telling him, build trust, not just with your offensive linemen, but the entire Buffalo Bills team, and go out to the community and do the same thing. Wow. Because in business, right, you know how this is, Eric, it's people driven. How did I meet you? Mick Hunt was introduced to me. Mick came on my podcast. I went on
Mick's
his.
awesome. Yeah.
I met Chris Paradiso on my podcast.
Wow.
Now here you and I
Another
are.
great guy. Yeah.
You're on my podcast. Now I'm on yours. And people just sometimes lose sight of that. And in sports, it's all about, even though people come after your job, you have to put that to the side and do the best you can and build relationships that are built on trust, respect, and also going towards a common goal. Like you are like lead and authenticity and being real. That's how I am. We vibe. We can build something. It's all about the alignment. Because in sports, if you're not focused on winning the Lombardi Trophy, then why are you there?
That's great.
If you're in business, you're not trying to focus on being the best you can or growing or connecting, collaborating, then why are you doing it? Go work for somebody else and just have them tell you where to go, what to do, what time, what you're going to get paid, and go on with your life. Wow. So I love this question because it's all about trust. It's all about showing up. It's all about having the discipline to see it through. When you start it, you got to finish it.
Wow. That is so powerful. I do believe that trust factor is so important because that is a major building block. I think that's why people get in trouble because at times you're trusting a person to do what they said do. And if you live in the land of, I actually am going to take what you say to the bank because, you can have all the money in the world, but if your name is terrible, that's what you're remembered for. But the reality of actually being trust and authenticity, showing up, all those things that are really, I think, bent towards the other, it builds credibility in such a powerful way. And I love how you're talking about these things because high achievers, they focus on performance and results. But how do you balance the pursuit of success with the need to nurture relationships, authentic relationships, which I think is an excellent job. And I love the circles with Chris and Mick and yourself and just, man, there's so many folks that just growing up in those circles. But that nurturing authentic relationships, they require vulnerability and trust. How do you balance that?
That's an excellent question. So I'll give you an example. So Chris, I invited him. He invited me to come stay at his house with him and his family, and I did that. Phenomenal, great time, great family. His wife this morning, his kids are just super. But let's take a step further. Chris said, "Hey Marcus, I'm going to a veterans breakfast this morning. Starts at 6:30. We would have to leave at 6. Now I got up yesterday at 2:00 in the morning." Got to the airport, almost didn't make the flight here connecting because the flight was delayed. Hustled my butt off, got to it and got here. Long day, great event with you, speaking, making lots of great people. But I got home, I was tired. I said, Chris, I'll see you in the morning. Woke up 5:00 this morning, finished all my work, got my workout on, got a shower. 6:05, we're out the door. And we're sitting there with these gentlemen who are, I would say most of them are probably like in their 80s, and just late 70s, early 80s, all pretty much Vietnam veterans, except for a couple of people. These guys are just amazing, like just so just relaxed, so just fun and engaging and picking on each other, but they're there for each other, and that's what it's about, right, Eric? It's like balancing that. Like I'm here for business, but if Chris sees enough to invite me into a circle of his with these people who he has relationships with, friendships with, trust, then of course I'm going to show up and then go have a good time. And it was fantastic. Wow. And so that's what it's about. Even when you're working, you can still have balance in doing things personal. And then when I'm not working, when I have my daughter, it's daddy-daughter time, right? So we do things together. We'll have art contests. We'll go to science museums. We'll travel. She loves to paint and she loves to do like art things. And she loves to go to like the jump house. And so I've learned, and also as I'm divorced, I'm dating, trying to also balance having time for that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have balance or you don't have the ability to understand how to manage yourself. I heard something said, there's no such thing as time management. It's you managing yourself and your time. Like I have to manage me to then manage what I'm going to do with my time. And so I do that. And by doing that, right, Eric, I have better relationships. better friendships, people like yourself, Chris, Mick, I can go on. People, I'm with my daughters, both my daughters, things are really going well. With with my personal life, things are going well. So I've learned as I've gotten older, business is great, but you have to also have people in your life that you enjoy. Otherwise, what are you working for?
Oh, that's powerful. I really believe that really just that thought of being intentional with your time and being highly relational, choosing to make the time, right? You can't really make the time. So taking the time to be relational, not transactional, and to understand the spheres of influence you're in, and I think the friendships in my world it's the get it done and then some. It's the reality if you say you're going to be somewhere, unless there's I'm more surprised if you're not there because you said you're going to be than you showed up. And I really believe that's being intentional in those relationships. There's the vulnerability. I'm going to make room for you. The trust. If this is important for you, Chris, then I'm going to show up because I know that it's not just wasting my time, but we get to spend time together and making a difference. And I really believe that that's what separates you from the pile. The get it done and then some attitude. Yes, absolutely. But you're showing up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just say something that Eric said, and I hope you heard him because I sure did. Be relationship driven, not transaction. But did you hear what he said? It takes time to build relationships. One of my best friends, Jamie Hopkins, I've known him now for, 6 years because of a podcast I did in 2018, met him in 2019, went to his shop when he was working for a company called Carson Group in Omaha, Nebraska, didn't get paid for it, went out to help add value to his coaching team. He said, Marques, I've never had someone come out that didn't ask me for money. You're my guy. And he hired me time and time again for Carson. He left Carson. Now he's at WSFS Bank and Bryn Mawr Trust in Philadelphia. Hired me for those jobs. And now he's referred me. I went to Puerto Rico because of a guy I met at that job. Now is in my network, Derek. And now I do a lot of work for Wisdom Tree. But again, it takes time. I didn't meet Jamie until 2019. He didn't get me my first paid job until 2021. So if you're trying to meet somebody, get in bed with them, do it right away, it's not going to work. So it takes time.
That's so good. Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of speed dating. I don't believe you can, in the sense of building authentic relationships. It doesn't happen. It's even in the reality of gestation period of a child isn't 3 weeks. It's not 2 weeks. It's that it takes time and development. And I think anything worth protecting takes time. And it's powerful what you're sharing here, and just the journey of discovery. The time, oftentimes it pressure tests your intentions, and being able to say, "Hey, I'm just after to help add value, to help you win." That's one of my things. I love helping leaders lead and winning. I've got another question for you along those lines. What advice would you give to business leaders? Your story is compelling. Marques, one more time, tell me the name of your book again.
So we have a couple books: Sleepless Nights, The NFL, A Business and a Family, and then we have The Success Cycle, 3 keys to help you build success in your business and in your life. And we have 3 other ones that we are a contributing author to, because we're a 5-time best-selling author. But those 2, Eric, we wrote by ourselves: Sleepless Nights, The NFL, A Business and a Family, and then The Success Cycle.
And I know those books they're compelling and provocative is because some of the folks in my relational circles were sending me some quotes from your books. Like, man, great, a good that. And these are people, again, the real. They have the real. These are people who have won, but they've got their uniforms aren't clean. They're dirty. They've been in a game. They've got some. It's not in a getting knocked down. It's a getting back up. And so when I think about this last question, ask you advice for business leaders who want to create a culture of authenticity within an organization, which I think is brave. I think it's necessary. You look at Harvard Business Review 5 years ago, they said the keys to organizations winning will be the collaborative ability they have to move in authenticity. It's a great study. But similar to authenticity and is camaraderie and trust. It's kind of like how do you? I guess I'll say it this way. How would you say to a business leader, how do you create a culture of authenticity within their organization? And I don't want to say like the locker room, but similar in the camaraderie of we as a team, we're, like you said, the Vince Lombardi Trophy, we're here to win. We're after that, but it requires camaraderie and trust. How would you say, give me one or two steps you would say to the 30-year-old entrepreneur who's sitting there going, I want to build something amazing, or the 50-year-old guy who's looking down and who's in the fourth quarter of his journey?
That's a great question, Eric. Mm-hmm. 2 things you need to do. All right. So number 1, on the emotion side, discover through either your own research, through talking to people that you know, friends, whomever, or your team, what is the culture you want to have for the business? What is the mantra that the culture is going to be recognized by the people within the culture? That's number 1. So identify what you're wanting. Number 2, on the logic side, hire the right people that will execute the culture. Again, the NFL, it's playoff time. And the Kansas City Chiefs are, again, there's a lot of great football. Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, there's all types of Texans, Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington. You've got some great football coming this way, right? But until somebody shows me an individual on a team that can carry a team like Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs. Why? Andy Reid puts people in the right positions. He keeps the key people, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones on defense, himself, his coaches. And that's why they're so good. Because at the end of the day, when you have those key people, the key people will drive the culture. So if you're listening to this awesome podcast, really identify what is it you want your culture to be known for by your people internally and outside your company wall. And then find those people on the logic side to execute the culture that you want to come to life. Without the people, there's no culture. Without the vision of what you're wanting from a culture perspective, people have nothing to shoot for.
Wow. That is powerful. I hope you heard that. The need for cultural clarity that's how I heard it. The identifying that piece, because oftentimes there is the cultural clarity is more like a bowl of pot. It's like potpourri. Like this is like, I don't know if that, man, it smells like you're not sure because there's all a mixture, right? But that clarity allows people, the right people in the right room at the right time, like you're saying, to understand what the mission vision is, and then they're able to execute that. You go into your favorite hamburger joint, and you don't usually go in there and say, I like a pizza. They're like, what? They're looking around like, what made you think that we sold pizza here? No, it's the understanding what are the signs that make it clear for people to understand, okay, that's what we're doing here. And you're right, there's some of those great organizations, the power of consistency is there. But it's consistency that's been based on clarity. Why are we here? What are we doing? And what are we after? That is just great.
Eric, I'm going to give you a huge pat on the back. Your event last night, flawless. You had Josh there. You had your daughter helping. You had people there. But beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, he had a staff member from Capitol Grill who was always working Eric's events. So what does that mean? The guy knows what Eric needs. He's going to be innovative. He's going to think ahead. Eric's not going to have to worry about, oh, we don't have this, oh, we don't have that. And when having the right people at his event, the culture, the atmosphere, the vibe was like, I want to be here. It's so smooth, so easy. I've been around a lot of events that don't go as smooth as yours, a ton. But that's because the people you have made it so. So that in itself is a perfect example of the right people make the right culture.
Yeah, man. We and that's why we made a decision of where we're going to be at, because especially when in that group of people, when it comes to entrepreneurs and CEOs and high achievers, putting them in a space. We have a private room. It's a large space for people to not be in a situation where they're easily distracted, where no one's auditioning. Everyone is there, and it's a room full of friends and friends who invited friends, and so it's such a pleasure. But we had to your point, it took time to work the plan for us to be clear about what it is that we're after. So at the end of the day, what was the win? The win was what the feedback I got from the people who are making a difference. How do I help you lead better? How do we help you win? Well, we're going to bring somebody in, and one of the things I shared last night was Marques. His message takes away your excuse for not getting up, dusting yourself off, and having an attitude of we're going to take a shot, but we're getting back up, and we're going to overcome. But I'm going to continue to grow and learn, and being honest. And it was one of the guys who he is in these different spaces, my friend Steve, he said, wow, that was such a powerful message that you don't hear often, and challenging, because people, they want to talk, everything's great. And so when the people like you name, like Chris Paradiso, I love the authenticity that he lives from, because he's willing to challenge the norm or the average, or we don't even do mediocre. And so that's why when people say, well, why are we doing it here? Because this is the best spot I know of in this particular area for us to get the greatest results. Now, I gotta say this. Now, what was funny is a friend of mine had sent a text, and this is me pivoting a little bit. He sent a text and he said, he says, oh man, today I was working out. And I wanted my son is really quick he's able to take a picture with his phone fast before I can. And I wanted to take a picture of my friend who's standing next to you, who had just sent me a picture. He sent me a note. Man, I crushed it in the gym today. I'm like, bro. I picture you. I'm like, this dude is a big human, bro. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Marques could curl you, but you've made decisions, and so your professional life, you've made decisions in your personal life. But also one of the things is I call it the public. I call it PDA, the public display of action. Mm-hmm. And how do you stay in the flow? You've got more things going on, man. What's one of the things you use for your rest and recovery? A practice, maybe some people who are burning it on both ends, and you only have one earth suit, by the way, people. How are you intentionally taking care of yourself?
I have learned to really live my life with self-care. I've learned it.
Wow.
And I love the men in my family. Then most of them are not even here anymore. My dad, my dad's gone. All my uncles are gone. And, love them to death. My Uncle Mikey, my Uncle Tootie, and my dad. They were the men in my family, and my grandfather. They did not take care of themselves with self-care. They did not. God rest his soul. My dad, loved him more than anything, had eagle's claws for feet. so I go to get pedicures.
Yeah.
Once every 2 weeks, I do it. I go when I get my hair cut, right? Twice a week. I keep myself low, and my barber does facials with it, like the hot towel, the shave, right? It's the little things. I do the gym. I do sauna treatment. I will do physical therapy to help with my hip and my back. I try to travel and take a little time off. I love playing poker to relax myself and challenge myself. I love going to the movies. And I've learned, and I used to feel bad, like, oh my God, like I'm doing self-care again. Why? And I'm like, wait. I need to do self-care to give Eric Peoples' event the best Marcus.
Yeah, come on.
Or Eric Peoples' podcast, the best energy. Or Chris Paradiso, I'm listening to him talk to Mike Stromso, and it's like, these guys are amazing, paying attention and locking in.
Mike Strom's awesome.
Oh, he's the best. And
He's great.
So, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. When you practice and you do self-care, your focus, your discipline, your work is that much better. Don't feel bad about self-care for yourself.
Wow. Don't feel bad about self-care for yourself. Some of you, especially entrepreneurs and high-level leaders, generally it's number 4 on the list of self-preservation. So everything else but them. And I'm a firm believer, if you can't keep an appointment with yourself, then how can you keep a good appointment with others? And I so appreciate you showing up to that dinner last night, ready to roll, but also to the and I'll say this just for folks from a hosting standpoint. I travel quite a bit in speaking, and some of the things I've had to do over the years is avoid the people who want, as soon as you get off the plane, they want you speaking at lunch or a dinner or something. I'm like, hey, I'll show up the night before, even on my own dime, to be the best version that I can be, but I can't give what I don't have. And so I really just appreciate that, what you're saying, because in the construct of that, the statement about self-care is revisiting, like, wait, why would I feel bad about this? Well, sometimes it's because of circles, but what I loved what you shared was you decided, despite what you saw, you were going to do differently. And that takes the excuse off the table. Man, Marcus, that is so good. If anything you've heard, he has continued in this journey to take off the table for any of us a reason to not be authentic, to not be after it, to not pursue clarity. We have to do those things and to win. Marcus, how do we find you?
We have our app, the Marques Ogden app. So go to your app store, type in MarquesOgden, or go to our website, www.marquesogden.com, or shoot me an email, marcus@marquesogden.com. Love to connect with you for speaking, coaching, consulting. Love to do some trips international this year, potentially Spain, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica. We love to bring our energy anywhere global to help people become the best version of themselves.
Wow. Well, you know what? We experienced that last night at the Lead CEO dinner. And what a joy, what an honor. Marcus, you're a great friend and a great leader, and I'm looking forward to the days ahead because it only gets better from here. Thanks again for listening to Eric Peoples Leadership Podcast. Friends, see you soon and looking forward to the days ahead. Here's to 2025.